Hey guys, actually, I don't know if you could tell by this new setting, but I am now in my dorm at Royal Holloway, out just outside of London. Yeah, I'm about a week into it. It's pretty fun so far. People like my accent, which I think is cool. My voice is a little hoarse today, but today, anyway, I thought I would tell you about how I learned German in 9 months, actually 12 months when I was able to take the CLEP test. So, if you want to learn how to do it yourself, here's a great opportunity for you. And so, just a little bit background on the CLEP language exams if you haven't heard anything about them before. So for those of you who don't know what CLEP tests are, you can look at any of my other videos. Basically, what a CLEP test is a way to test your way out of college. They are extremely easy and they are all multiple choice, so it's not difficult. But anyway, the language ones, most colleges are going to give you classes that test you out of 3 hours. So you can do a semester, basically, which is 15 credit hours. You do 12 credit hours if you take one of these tests. So you test almost completely out of an entire semester of college from one test that's worth $80. You can see that there's a huge advantage to learning a language, especially considering the three languages that are the most important are Spanish, French, and German, which are all relatively similar to English. Now, I do want to make this very clear as well. Don't be discouraged at all about learning from high school if you didn't learn very well in high school a language. I took Spanish in high school and I don't remember a thing. I took it for a couple years too, and I've met people who took it for like 7 years and don't remember a thing. If you do it on your own and do it in a way that you're passionate about it, I guarantee you'll be able to do it. For everything, always pick the language you like the most, but I can go into that on a later time. So today I'm just going to be mapping out my journey through German because German was a language that I really wanted to learn for myself. This also was a almost completely free way to study. I spent less than $50 in the entire process of learning German to learn German. You have to have a teacher teaching you. You don't have to have anybody teaching you. You can teach yourself completely. So just so you know, I'm making it seem a lot shorter of a time than it was for me. It took me about a year. I started December of 2015 and ended in December of 2016. And that was just to be able to take the CLEP test. So to start off with, you're going to want to start with a little site called Duolingo. So for me personally, that's how I started. I started absolutely knowing no words from German minus words just like Danke. Really, really basic stuff. And so I used Duolingo, which was a huge help for me. Um, so, if you're unfamiliar with it, what it is a free language learning site where you can learn pretty much any language that you want to. It also makes it to be more of a game than a lesson, so you try to keep a daily streak and other things like that. It's absolutely a free source. If you want to know more about it, go check out my other video on it. I'll put the link in my description, and then we'll move on to the next one here. The next thing you have here is called Mixer, and it is spelled with two X's, no matter how much it seems completely wrong and weird. But yes, it's called Mixer. And what the entire site of Mixer is combining you and having you meet up with foreigners. So once I was able to complete the entirety of the tree in Duolingo, which I would highly recommend doing, after I finished doing the entirety of the tree, I moved on to the other free site here, which is Mixer, and that because it allows you to connect with native speakers of the language, you're actually going to be more benefited in that sense. So I was able to meet from people from Germany and Austria who were trying to improve their English. So we would speak German for 20 minutes and then English for 20 minutes and so on. And this is one of those things that I consider extremely helpful as well because you don't really know how people talk in a day-to-day conversation when you're just reading off of books and stuff like that. Um, be aware the first few times that you're going to speak, for me especially, were really rough. Were really, really rough because you're thinking so hard, thinking like, oh, what do I say next? And it's really difficult. But after a few times, it starts getting really easy and words start to flow a lot better. Also, if you have a partner, they're going to be there to help you as well, so you don't have to worry about that. Nothing should be a real issue. The next thing that you want to do as well is you want to find some good books or songs in the native language that you're learning. So for me, I was learning German. These are a couple of my favorite books, Struwwelpeter and Max and Moritz on the right and on the bottom, which are actually children's books. And I think it's so interesting because they're from the 1800s, but the way they behave is just so odd and so old fashioned. Like there's a little kid that gets his thumbs cut off in the children's book on the top right. It's definitely a weird one, but then there's songs and stuff that you could just translate, and I just print out the lyrics and just translate if I didn't know a word. I look it up, and then Basically, I would just save everything and I would put all of the words on a thing called Quizlet. And so I'd get those words from Mixer, from books, from songs, everything like that. And when I put all of them on Quizlet, I was able to use them like flashcards. Just so you know, everything that I've mentioned so far is a free source, minus buying the books themselves. But Quizlet's nice. I can make another video on that as well, talking about the specifics behind Quizlet, but it's just basically flashcards. And then the last thing you're going to do is you're going to want to buy the CLEP official study guide book, which is about 25 bucks, I believe. I think I paid 25 bucks, but you get every single test out there, all 33. So otherwise you have to pay 10 per test, and I wouldn't recommend buying both because they're not different tests, they're the exact same one. So yeah, get the book, and then when you do it, I would go to whatever language you're learning. So for me, I was learning German, and I would go to the German one and I would just study. And so actually, most people don't know this. I took the German test twice. The first time I took it, I didn't pass by 1 point. I got a 49 and not a 50. But the second time I took it, which was 3 months later, I got a 57. And that just sticks with that common theme that my passing rate the second time taking the test was always 100%. And just because the second time you take it is a lot easier. But what I also emphasized is during that time period I focused a lot more on this because that's exactly what came out of the book. So learn all these new words just like you did out of context with the books from before or the songs from before. You can look them up and you could practice them and stuff like that. So what you want to aim for, if you don't know the A to C2 scale, this is an important scale when learning a language. So A1 is basic, beginner, A2 a little bit more advanced, and then C2 is like a native speaker. So for me in English, I speak at a C2 level because I'm a native speaker in English. In German, currently I'm at a C1, but that's because I was just in Germany for a couple weeks, and so I was able to speak a little bit better. I think that what you want to aim for with the CLEP test is you want to get between a B1 and a B2, somewhere in there, probably high B1, low B2. And I think that's pretty much as high as you can get it when you're not learning around other native speakers of the language. It's a lot harder because there's just so many things that you just, when you listen to other people talk to each other in a non-film format, you pick things up that you would never realize before. So like, for example, in German, there's this. It's I don't know if it's a word or two words, but it's "Hör auf," which means "stop it." But I never learned this until I actually went to Germany itself because nobody ever used it ever. But yeah, so that's where you want to be. You want to be in the B1, B2 range there. Um, but the last thing you have to do is you do have to travel if you want to get into that C range. I think because for me personally, once I hit the B2 range, B1 range, it was like low B2, high B1. I hit that in December of 2016, and I stayed that same level all the way until August of this year, even though I was doing not as much, but about the same level of studying. It doesn't work out as well. So you do have to end up going to the country to improve it even more. And I think that will do it for the most part. I think this is one of those things that is just super beneficial to learn, and I would recommend it to anybody. It's actually a lot easier than you think it would be, and you can make it totally fun. It's not an issue that you should ever feel a struggle with whatsoever. Now, with what I just gave you, I was able to bring myself up into this just on my own accord. It was just whenever I felt like doing it. It wasn't that people were forcing me, and I made it more of a game and more fun. And so now I have these fun little dorky German songs and stuff like that. I could probably play some in here too, probably in the background, um, just that I used, and it makes it more fun. So I hope you guys have a better understanding now of what you really need to do with studying for the CLEP language exams. Unlike most of the other exams, this is not one that you can easily just cram for because it's going to take months on end, especially if it's brand new to you. So I hope my story gives you a little bit of an inspiration to learn a language. I think it's a really fun process and a really helpful way to get out of college courses. You don't want to take anything too seriously with this, and you just want to have a good time. Don't go too intense. And as always, guys, if you could just like and subscribe, that'd be a big help. And don't forget to check out my book, The 1 Year Diploma. It's still on Amazon. So if you are interested in that, I would go on there. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I will see you next time. Bye.